Okay, looks like I am live. Let me go and see if we're connected to Instagram. Not yet. Oh, I just keep doing that. Hi, everybody. If anybody's on here, I don't know yet because I'm new. I'm using streaming software, which is brand new to me. So I'm not sure how to see who has joined me yet. And I'm also trying to figure out how to get Instagram to connect. Hmm. Okay, maybe we won't worry about Instagram for today. Okay, so we got 4 people. Now I can see how to tell that I have people on. I'm not sure how to see comments. Okay. All right, well, let's go ahead and get started and we'll try to figure out some of those details later on. I can probably pull up my Facebook on my phone to see comments and just check them periodically. We're going to do a patriotic wreath. I posted a picture of it in the event if you've seen that. Okay, yes, here we're live. And it says there's comments. Hi, Shannon. Good to see you. Hi, Rita. Good to see you. Okay, we will go ahead and get started. We're going to use this lovely patriotic sign. It's like 3 buntings that are hooked together that says God bless America. And of course, if you watch my lives before, you know I try to coordinate everything, my ribbons and stuff to my signs. So we're going to use this sign. And then I selected, because it's got all of this pretty glittery blue in it, I selected this really shiny metallic blue and white mesh to put behind it. And then we are using also a 1.5 inch metallic blue ribbon and a red glittery, because we also have a lot of red glitter in our signs. So we're going to use a red glittery ribbon. And then, of course, the USA and the map to go with the God Bless America theme. And what would be a patriotic flag or wreath without the flag ribbon? So we're going to use that. Real quick, to do this, you're going to need 18 pieces of the mesh. And you don't have to use the same colors as I'm using, but you will need 18 pieces. And these are cut to 18 inches long. So 18 pieces, 18 inches long. All of my ribbons are cut to 12 inches long, and you need 6 of each of the 4 ribbons. So you'll be using 4. If you're using 4 different ribbons, you need 6 total. So that's what, 24 total pieces of 12-inch ribbon. We're going to use a Dollar Tree frame, the wire 14-inch, or I think it's a little bit bigger than 14-inch, the Dollar Tree wire form. And then you're going to need pipe cleaners to attach everything. And I'm using red and blue. I have 6 blue because I'm going to put those on the inside 2 rings and the red on the outside 2 rings. You'll see why and why I do the different colors. It's not necessarily easier for me. Okay, and then the tools and supplies that we're going to need is you're going to need scissors for sure. And then I use a metal hole punch to put holes in my sign. And I use this thin floral wire to attach my sign to my base. You're going to need some kind of clothespin or a clip because we're going to be making cruffles. And you're going to need wire cutters. I use these little tiny ones because they work perfect on this little thin floral wire. And then for this one, I do something a little different with the sign, so we'll need to use the hot glue gun. because we're going to actually lap these over each other. Okay, so I'll show you that more when we get to that stage. Let's start off by wiring the wreath form. Okay, so I'm going to start with the blue and do the inside first. We're going to go in between. We're only working first on these inside 2 rings. There's 4 of them. We're going to use the inside 2. And we're going to go in the middle of 2 crossbars as close to the middle as you can get it. Okay, and pull these kind of tight. Not so tight that you bend your frame, but tight enough that they're not going to be sliding around. And I'm going to do these in blue and the outside in red because we're going to do the mesh and ribbons all the way around the outside first and then come back and do the inside ones. And this just makes it easy for me to see where these inside pipe cleaners are once we get all the other mesh and ribbons on there. And I have a little bit of a cold, you guys, so I'm sorry if I'm sniffling. I've been taking antibiotic and steroid. It doesn't seem to be making any difference. It's allergies. Okay, so once we get all these 6 on, then we'll start on the outside 2 rings. And you'll need 12 pipe cleaners for the outside 2, so 18 total pipe cleaners. And try to get them as even as you can. I didn't do a very good job on this one. I might actually redo that. That's pretty far off. Okay. And then I just push these inside ones inward because I'm not going to be using those for a little while, and it just keeps them out of my way. Okay, so now to do these outside ones, we've got 1 here in the middle on the inside 2. So now we're coming to the outside 2 rings, and we're going to go halfway between this middle one and this crossbar and put 1. Same thing, kind of tight, but not, you don't want to bend your frame. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So halfway between this middle pipe cleaner and this crossbar. You're just going to be using your middle pipe cleaners and the crossbars as your guide. I know there's a way that I can pull comments up on this thing. But I haven't figured that out yet, so I'll have to play around with that so I can see them on the computer. My blind eyes, I have such a hard time seeing. On my phone, it just keeps giving me the stars things. All right. I struggle every time I do live videos with the comments and being able to see them. Lots of times I end up just answering them afterwards. So if you have any questions, even if I don't figure out how to see them while we're live, go ahead. Or if you're watching on replay later, go ahead and leave your comments or questions. I'll definitely get back with you. And we're just repeating this process all the way around the outside 2 rings. So you basically, in each section, a section is between the 2 crossbars, you're going to have 3. 1 on the inside and 2 on the outside. almost done with this part, the tedious part. So the first thing I usually do is start working with my mesh. So we're going to need our clip. I'm just going to kind of slide everything else out of my way. Okay. And my mesh is already, everything, I had this wreath. This is actually a customer order, and I had everything already pre-cut for it. So that's why I didn't cut it during the live. It was already done. So when I do, let me try to show you. When I do my cruffles, I lay it out in front of me. I fold over the edge and hold down with my pinkies. I hold down these ends so I get a nice curl and keep all those cut edges tucked under. And then I fold it over 2, 3, 4 times and put my clip on it. That way you have a nice little curl here, and you don't have all your cut edges sticking out. That protects your wreath, makes it last longer as well. Do the same thing on the other end. Fold it over, and then 2, 3, 4. And then not everybody does this, but I do almost all of my wreaths this way. I then flip the curls over and then scrunch it down the middle to make the ruffled effect. Pinch the 2 sides together, take off the clip, make sure you got a hold of it, and then you have what kind of looks like a bow tie. And then I put the 2 curls in face down. Lots of people do them face up. Either way is fine. It's just whatever your preference is. Okay, so we're going to only do these 12 red pipe cleaners on the outside 2 rings first. So we'll go ahead and put this one in here. Now this mesh that I'm using is really thick and heavy. I got this, I actually bought this from Kalia's online, but it's been probably 2 years, so I don't know if she even carries it now, but I'm sure that you could find it somewhere at Cry Outlet, Kalia's, Deco Exchange, somewhere like that, or something similar. You do cruffles both ways depending on the product. Yeah, it gives you a completely different look. I've done them both ways too. I tend to mostly do with the curls down. I don't know, I just kind of settled on that and stuck with it. Okay. So I got to pull these pipe cleaners kind of hard, and then you'll notice where this mesh is so thick, I even take and press this down to just kind of give it a little bit of extra security so it doesn't like wobble and move around, and it's nice and firm. This is really beautiful mesh, but as you can see, this stuff does fray out of it, which is another reason why having those curls tucked under nicely is good, because it protects it from doing that further. Even some of your better, good quality meshes will still fray. I don't think I've ever used a mesh that didn't fray. If someone comes up with that, they will make a fortune. Okay, so 4 times. And when you scrunch up the middle, do it little pieces at a time so you get kind of like a little wavy look. We're going to be doing another live tomorrow. I have 2 custom orders that I am way behind getting done. They should already be done. So I'm going to do one of those on live tomorrow. So it will probably be a bee garland from a very good friend, Patricia. It will be similar to the one that I did last year, if any of you seen that. but it's actually easier. It's just as beautiful, uses basically the same amount of materials, but it is much easier and less time consuming. So I'm pretty excited about learning that new design. I made a bunch of them that way at Christmas time, and they were a huge hit with the new design, that is. The one I did last year, although gorgeous, the amount of time that it takes you to make it makes it kind of cost prohibitive for a lot of people because you have to, of course, account for your time. And honestly, this one takes probably half as much time, and it's just as pretty. So that's why I kind of switched. And if you've been on my Facebook page, you guys know that I am resuming my lives to celebrate getting this stinking taxes done. I really did it to myself, and I'm not going to do that for next year. I'm going to go ahead and set aside time each week to work on them and try to keep up with it much better. I tend to like to do the fun stuff, the pretty stuff, the engagement with everybody and the community, and not the real work stuff like numbers. And also, I know some of you have probably seen that I have started making ribbon and sign bundles. I have not made this one yet, but I will be doing that probably within the next week or so for this wreath that I'm making now. I didn't wait until after I had the bundle ready because, like I said, a customer ordered this, and I needed to go ahead and get caught up on my orders from where I was doing taxes. Yes, Shannon, definitely. I have nobody to blame but myself for the mess I was in. I knew better. Definitely knew better. Especially when after seeing how busy I was at Christmas time, that was just goofy on my part to wait till a week before the deadline. But I got it done, and we didn't owe any money, so I'm definitely got reason to celebrate. We didn't get money back either, but that's okay. I'll take break even every day. That means even though I didn't track it correctly, at least I spent it correctly. And I have already gathered up all of my in-person purchases, all my receipts for those. And I've already printed out all my bank statements, and I've already gotten most of my online receipts printed. And I've already bought a binder for the 2024 taxes, and I'm going to go ahead and just start putting it all in there this week. Getting it tallied and categorized and ready to go by the month at the end. Hopefully I can just add 12 months together, or at least 6 months, and only have a few months to calculate and be good to go. Looking for the craft supplies. And I always lose my clip and my scissors. I go, like these little frayed pieces, you know, I try to trim those off just to make it nice and clean looking. As you can see, this mesh is very bold, makes a very, I think I only have enough of this mesh for one more wreath, so I need to go out and see if I can find it anywhere now. I think I only used it for Patriotic, but you can make a pretty Christmas wreath or winter wreath with this mesh also. Okay, we've got 2 more on the outside. Oops. Last one. I see a little piece here I need to trim. Okay. I actually made this design last year and sold one that I had made. But a lot of times, I'm going to mention this because a lot of you guys might have businesses. A lot of times when I do a design, I will buy enough materials and go ahead and cut them up for 2 or 3 of that same design because typically I will sell more than one of it, and it just makes it easier for me. I don't have to try to track down supplies later. They're already cut, ready to go. Like you've seen them when we first come on. I cut them up. I have boxes that I put them in individually. And then when I need to make one, I just go and pull it out of the box whenever one sells. Okay, now when we put this last piece of mesh in, I'm going to try to do this backwards to show you guys. You'll see that this side's overlaying and this side's overlaying, and they're not laying the same uniform pattern. This last one's not. So we need to pull the piece that's next to it out and push it back and layer it over top so they're all laying the same way. Do the same thing down here at the bottom. Switch those so these are all laying the same way. That way you have like the same ruffled look and it's consistent. Okay, now we are going to dovetail our ribbons. I think I did the 1.5 inch ones, so we just have to do the 2. I don't think I mentioned either. The flag ribbon and the USA ribbon are 2.5 inches. Looks like I have an extra piece of ribbon. That's okay. Okay, so when I dovetail, I line my ends up as close as I can possibly get them and fold them in half. And then I cut from the folded side up at an angle to the open wired side. And I do not do my dovetails very deep. I did when I first started because I thought it was so pretty with a deep dovetail. But what I found is that a lot of the types of ribbon that I was purchasing, if they're cut too deep, it frays and it separates. So I don't cut mine as deep anymore because that seems to help alleviate that. A lot of the stuff that I just kind of learned through trial and error. Made a lot of mistakes along the way. And then I also only do a few pieces of ribbon at a time when I dovetail because I found if I do too many, they're not even. And then they look funny. So it takes just like an extra minute or 2 to do them 3 at a time instead of all at once. I have really had some messed up ribbon from trying to cut too many at a time. Let's take my glasses off so I can see to line these up. If you guys want to know where any of my supplies came from or anything, just let me know. I'm happy to share with you. So now we have all of them dovetailed. Forgot to get something to put my garbage in. Okay, so now on this design, because this mesh is so bold and thick and will provide great coverage to my base, I wanted this to show. So on this outside, on these outside 12 pipe cleaners, I am only going to put one ribbon in each pipe cleaner. Sometimes I do two, sometimes I do 1.5. My designs, they vary greatly, but on this particular design, because of the type of mesh that I'm using and the fact that I wanted a lot of this to show through, I'm only going to do one in each. And what I'm going to do is rotate the 4 that we're using. So I'll start with the USA flag, or map, I guess, USA map. And then I forgot to explain to you how I do that, so I will on the next one. Got carried away. Okay, now let's give you some instructions how I did that. I haven't been live in so long, I forget what I normally do. Okay, so this one is primarily blue, so I'm going to go ahead and do the red next. The red glitter, and I still forgot to tell you. Okay, so I lay it out in front of me. You guys can see. Yeah, you can see. Okay. And then I just try to find the middle of the piece of ribbon and I scrunch it down, but I'm very careful to make sure that the edges, so when I scrunch, I make sure this edge folds under this way and this edge folds under this way. I do not want the edges of my ribbon up. It makes it lay funny, and then it also makes it hard. I like for my ribbon tails to arch up and outward, and if these edges on the outside are facing up, it makes it hard to get that look, and then you end up with a bunch of like bunching here in the middle. So I try to keep the outside edges down, scrunch up the middle, then I V it back towards myself and make sure that my ends are even. And then it just looks kind of like, I don't know how to describe what that looks like. Like that. And then I just lay it straight down in the pipe cleaner. Fasten the pipe cleaner right at that bead point. I attach this very tightly on the bottom layer. I pull very tightly. I twist 3 or 4 times. When I cut my pipe cleaner off, I'm leaving probably about a 1/2 inch there. And then I just take and push that pipe cleaner down inside and I squeeze it. So that way I can pull on my ribbon and it's going to stay right there. And then I just fluff it out and make it kind of curl up and outward and then lay in the position that I want it. And I do that to all of them, all the way around on this outside edge. Okay, so now we need to do, and this is the part I mess up. Sometimes I forget my pattern. Okay, so now we're going to do the flag ribbon. Same thing. If it makes it easier for you to find the middle, you can fold it in half and give yourself a little crease. And then when you lay it out, you can just follow that crease. Again, make sure your outside edges go under to the best of your ability. Some ribbons are harder to do that with, but these are like canvas, these glitter ribbons, canvas ribbons, are pretty easy to work with. Okay, and again, just put it in there, pull it really tight, twist 3 or 4 times. Remember to leave yourself about a ½ inch worth of pipe cleaner there so you can push it down inside and then squeeze it to tighten it. And now we are ready to do a blue. So we had 12 pipe cleaners on the outside, so you're going to end up with 12 pieces of ribbon on this layer. So we're back to the beginning of our pattern again. So now we're doing the map ribbon. I'm talking myself through this so I don't mix it up. Not everybody is as picky about the way their ribbons lay. Everybody has their own preference, but I don't know. I decided I did it a bunch of different ways. I watched a bunch of crafters and stuff when I was first learning, and this was just the way I decided I liked the way they looked. It was like kind of like just this arched look and fanned out. So I'm telling you, I just vary. You know, it's whatever look you prefer or you're going for. Okay, so next is the red. I also, when I first started crafting, watched several crafters who all cut their ribbon 10 inches. And I thought, oh, wow, that would really, 10 inches would really save you on ribbon. And I was just starting out. So affording the nice, good quality ribbon was kind of tough. So I thought, I'll cut all mine at 10 inches. So I remember, I'll never forget this, I still have some of this ribbon. I placed my first order with Craft Outlet. If you know me, you know that is probably one of my favorite craft supply stores. And I got all this beautiful, it was Easter ribbon, bunnies and jelly beans and all kinds of good stuff. I proceeded to just go right ahead. I was going to make wreaths with every bit of that ribbon that I got. So I cut all that ribbon into 10-inch pieces, whole rolls at a time, only to discover that I didn't like designing with 10-inch pieces of ribbon. I don't feel like it's long enough. It doesn't show enough of the mesh. So I used some of it because, well, I had to. I didn't really have much choice financially. But like I said, I still have some of that ribbon that I haven't used because I just like using 10 inches so much. Then I did 11 inches, which was a little bit better, but all my designs now are 12 inches. I've actually even thought about trying to do some of it that are a little bit longer. I'm talking and getting mixed up. Blues next. I know I've watched many more crafters now at this point, and some of them do 16-inch ribbons and 14-inch ribbons, and so it is just personal preference. But that was one mistake I made in the beginning that I was kicking myself for. I should have cut it and made one wreath to see if I liked it, but I was just overeager and overexcited. Cut all that ribbon. Map. Let's see if I can get comments, but it's not coming up. If anybody does watch this later on replay, just if you would comment hashtag replay and let me know. So that way I can kind of keep track of who's watching and what's interesting and what's not. Okay, we're almost done with this outer layer, and then we're going to start working on those inside 6 pipe cleaners. We've got 2 more pieces of ribbon for the outside. Okay, so we did the red, now we need the flag. Okay, and then our last one is the blue. I mentioned earlier curling those outlines down when you're attaching them. That also will help you greatly when you're making bows. If you, when you scrunch your bows to form your loops, if you keep those outside edges curled under, it makes your loops stand up much nicer. Although we're not doing a bow for this one, still a nice tip for bows. Right now, I'm just going all the way around and pulling those 6 blue pipe cleaners that we put on the inside 2 rings out to the outside. Because now we're going to go around and add another layer of mesh on top of those ribbons that we just added. So with the thickness of this mesh, this probably ends up being about 6 inches deep, and it'll be 24 inches wide when it's all finished. Okay. Remember, hold those edges to keep all the cut part underneath. Okay, also when I do this next layer, when we put the first layer in, we did the finished edge to the inside and outside. But now when I do this layer, I've got like this dip here. I want to fill this in and fill in anywhere there may be gaps. So I'm going to turn it and put the finished edges to the right and the left. And then on this layer, you don't want to pull real tight, just a little bit to, make sure it's secure. But you don't want to sink it clear down to that metal base because you're building up your design. Okay, and so we'll need the 6 pieces because we had 6 pipe cleaners. So we'll do this 6 times. Let my mesh roll behind the table. That would be bad if you guys had to watch me crawl under the table. Remember, finished edges to the right and the left. And then it just looks like a little bow. So you're just kind of laying little bows all the way around your design. And then it also gives you this nice, like, varied look of intermingling the curls and the waves from the cruffles on the inside here. It gives, I think, like texture or dimension, maybe the better word. Yeah, it almost fell. center. Seems like it would be simple here for me to, it should say. It should say comments or chat or something, but I sure don't see it. Okay. Well, we'll just keep working and I'll answer everybody after. We've got 2 more pieces after this one. And then we'll do another layer of ribbons on the top, and we'll do those a little bit differently than we did the bottom layer. And we'll put 2 ribbons in each pipe cleaner this time. Okay. Last one. And then we will fix our sign and attach it, and we'll be all done. Oh, well, we gotta do the top layer of ribbons, then the sign. But we're only working in 6 pipe cleaners now on this top layer, so it goes a lot faster than the bottom layer. Okay, so this is what we have so far. We're going to do our ribbons. So I'm going to separate these. We've got the flag pattern, the map pattern, and then the red and the blue. So because this one I felt like was more blue, I decided to put the red behind it. So to do this second layer of ribbons, I actually make like an X in front of me. Then I scrunch right up the middle of the X and pinch the 2 sides together. And then just place it straight down in the pipe cleaner. Twist the pipe cleaner. I do 4 or 5 times for this top layer because I want to make sure it's not going to come off. Clip it, leave yourself about a ½ inch of pipe cleaner to push down inside and squeeze to hold your ribbons secure. Then if your ribbons need a little straightened or whatever, you just pull on those and tug on them to straighten them out. If you've squeezed your pipe cleaner good enough, you should be able to safely pull on those and they should stay in place. And then I just curl up and out, kind of like a little fan look. And so that's how I do the ribbons on this layer. So next is the flag and the blue. Scrunch it. You have a little X. We can just lay that straight down in, doing double time, putting both ribbons in at the same time. Clip it off. Pinch it down and squeeze it, and then you can straighten your ribbons safely without worrying about anything coming unattached. Okay, and we're just going to repeat the same pattern all the way around. I'm going to take a minute and get a drink of water, guys. I'm sorry, my mouth is getting dry and my throat. Oh, I see a chat button now. I just spotted it, and I wonder if that is where my comments are. Oh my goodness, you guys. It was so easy. I don't know how I didn't see that. Shannon, yes, I have a bucket. I actually moved it off my table to do live. I set it over on my counter here, but I have a bucket that has like 10 clips in it. And I still sometimes can't find one. Okay, well, guys, I figured out the comments. So while I missed them for most of this wreath, we'll know how to do it. Those fireworks vibes. Yeah, I never thought of that, but that's true. Especially with the way I guess that I fan them up now. It kind of looks like the way that fireworks would go up and down. I know I just made this design last year, and it's been pretty popular. I think I sold 2 of them last year, and I've already sold this one, so I consider that pretty successful. Yay, 2 more ribbon bundles. I was working on making more ribbon and sign bundles this morning and took some pictures, so I'll be listing some more probably tonight. When I go to lay down, I always mess around on my phone to wind down, and a lot of times that's when I do my listing. So I'll probably list those. You might see those posted on Facebook tomorrow. I am just loving doing these bundles. I've got to slow down though. I've got too much work to do. I got to quit buying new until I get all of what I have done. Everybody has really been liking them though. I've gotten a lot of positive feedback and quite a few sales, so I'm pretty excited about that. I'll be doing some of my future lives using them also, so that way if somebody purchases it, there'll be instructional videos that they could reference if they wanted to. I think that would be good, especially for new crafters. Hi, Gloria. I cut them. It's 18 pieces, and I cut them to 18 inches long. This mesh is really a thick, I don't know how to describe it. It's really substantial, really thick, good quality mesh. I don't think I paid a whole lot for it, though. I want to say, it's been a couple years. I want to say probably $6 or $7 a roll, which to me is not too bad for this good quality. Oh, I have an extra red ribbon, guys. Okay. Hobby Lobby online. Oh, okay. So Hobby Lobby has a similar version. I'm really, really leery about some of Hobby Lobby's mesh, though. They have some that I absolutely love, and I buy it every year. But I'm really careful about some of their metallic meshes and stuff. It's really thin, frays a lot. It's not, I don't know. I get kind of leery. I've gotten some there that I wouldn't even use. So, well, thank you, Gloria. But they do have some like fall collars with like natural, it's kind of like a burlap type mesh, and it's got like they have a blue stripe, a black stripe, a green stripe. I love that mesh. I would say it's probably substantially like the thickness and quality and texture. It's probably very similar to this. Okay, so this is what we have. Nice and bold and proud. I'm going to move that over to the side because we're going to need to work on our sign. We're going to need our wire and our wire cutters. We're going to need our hole punch. And we are going to need the sign. Okay, now I'm going to try to remember you guys how I did this. We are also going to need the glue gun. I think I forgot to mention that to you guys. I have my very high-tech, powerful Ryobi my husband bought me. He takes very good care of me. If you follow my page, you know that. So I'm going to turn that on and let it heat up. It does take it a minute to heat up, but boy, when this thing gets hot, I have scars, lots of scars. So we have to be careful with it. Okay, so when I attach this sign on my design, it's attached in the middle by these ribbons, and I'm pretty sure that I cut those off before I did this. So I'm going to go ahead and cut those off. And then what I did was I overlaid the bunting. So when I went back and looked at my picture, it was kind of like this. And then I'll probably do, I think I wired it at the top and at the bottom. So we're going to glue. But first, let's cut them apart, because I feel like this ribbon is going to get in the way of holding it together. All right, now I'm going to turn these towards me so that I can make sure I don't mess this up. So the blessed was over top of God. And then I need to cut that ribbon down a little bit better. We don't want that showing. And then the America was just right below that blue. And I also noticed that I kind of did them a little off-centered. You could make it perfectly straight if you wanted to. But in the design that I did, for some reason, I liked the way it looked with like being a little bit uneven. So we're going to go, that's what's in the picture. That's what the customer purchased. So that's, what I'm going to do. Okay, this is getting pretty warm. Do a little test squeeze. Yes, it's ready. Actually, I'm going to put the glue here. I use a lot of glue, and this is like an industrial strength glue I buy from Home Depot. Okay, and I'm going to hold this for a minute because that was a whole bunch of glue. And I'm going to go ahead and turn this off, because once this thing gets hot, it stays hot and it continues to heat even higher. So I'll end up burning myself if I don't go ahead and turn it off now. And we only have one more piece here to glue, so. I maybe should have done this ahead of time, but to give it drying time, but hopefully you guys will be patient with me, because I really did want to show you guys how I stacked the sign. All right, that is starting to secure. And as you can see, the glue is still plenty hot. Even though I turned it off, it'll stay that way for a while. Just give it a few minutes with some pressure on it. There's that hole punch is pretty heavy, so I'm gonna lay that there for a minute. It's actually a metal hole punch, so it works very well on metal as well. And I like it because it has a very small, it makes a small hole that is just big enough for this wire. So, you know, you don't end up putting a bunch of big holes or having, you know, all that show up on your design. A lot of these, like this sign already has a hole here at the top. I kind of wish they didn't come like that because you can see that in the end. And you can't really cover it up because it's part of the word. So, but where I make holes myself, I like this because it was very, very tiny. You really can't even notice it. Okay. That is not completely set up, but it is good enough that I think we can go ahead and hole punch. So I'm going to hole punch down here at the bottom. We've already got the top. Yeah, this one still feels kind of warm, so I know that's still setting up. I think this one's done. Okay, so I'm going to cut a piece of wire. We need a piece for the top and a piece for the bottom. I always cut it extra long if you've watched me any amount of time, and I actually suggest everybody do this because working with your hands a lot like this, and when you get to be, well, my age, arthritis and things like that becomes a real concern. And so anything you can do to make it easier on your fingers or your hands or your wrists is going to be to your benefit. And what's a little piece of wire? This wire does not cost that much. So I cut mine extra long, and then I just cut off the excess after I attach it. Okay, so I'm going to do the bottom first and just feed it through the hole. And then turn the sign over. Pull it up through, try to get it as level as possible, even as possible. Okay, now here is where, when I attach my wire to my sign, I try to keep where I crisscross it and twist it in the back over top of the hole that I made. If you put it out here on the side, if you twist on the side edge here, your sign will be wobbly and will move. Whereas if you do it right over this hole in the back, it keeps it more sturdy. Okay. I don't know how many times I twisted. I just twist a bunch of times. And I'm going to turn it around and do the same thing through the hole that was already there. And again, I'm going to twist my little knot right over top of that hole to the best I can. Okay. So we've got our wires. Now, I'll probably stand up to do this so I can see what I'm doing. So you guys will lose me out of the view, but hopefully you'll still be able to see what I'm doing. Okay. So I'm just going to take the wires and just use my hands to feel my way down through the mesh till I get to the frame at the bottom. Take the wires, and I usually wrap around 2 of the rings. Remember how I was saying we had 4 rings on the frame? I usually try to take my wires around 2 of those. Now I've got them fed through and down there, but I want to make sure before I start tightening down that my sign is laying centered and where I want it. And then I take this top layer of curls and stuff, and I pull them out and make them kind of just frame around my sign. Like that. Okay. And then I'm just going to pull it down kind of snug, but not real tight, because you don't want to lose your sign in your design. You want it to be part of the wreath. So you want it to kind of be framed by your materials, you don't want it so far down in there that you lose it among all the mesh. Okay, and here I am twisting, 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 twisting. I have a fear of my signs falling off. So I twist it very tightly, and I twist it a bunch of times. And then I'm just going to cut off the extra. And then I'm going to try to flip this over and show you guys. After I cut off the extra, I take this piece of wire that is here, and I wrap it around this ring, the inside ring, or whichever ring you're closest to. And I do it several times, making sure that the end, the sharp end, is inside of the wire. So that way, if you rub your hand over it, it's smooth. It's not gonna scratch your customer or you or your door. And then we're just gonna turn it around and repeat the same thing up here on the other end, and we're almost done, guys. I know some people probably seen it. I was doing Patriotic and thought, man, she's really ahead of the game, because we kind of just got into spring, but what the customer wants, the customer gets. So, and once I do a design, I keep it active all year, or until it sells out. And it really me to do that, because you would be surprised what people buy off season, and how often and how much they buy off season. Okay, I think we got that sign pretty good. And again, I'm just twisting a bunch of times, twisting the wire up towards the frame, so it's tightening with each twist. Cut off the extra. Wrap it around again. Push that end up inside. Okay, guys, let me know what you think. It's a pretty big one. Like I said, probably about 6 inches and 24 inches wide, 6 inches deep. Okay, well, that's it for today. Like I said, I think I'm going to do a bee garland tomorrow. I'll schedule an event later and put a picture of the materials I'm going to be using. I don't have a finished product because I haven't made this design yet. This will be a first time design. But I'll put a picture of the materials I'm going to use. And hopefully I'll see you guys there. I'll talk to you soon.